At my sister's wedding, my parents seated me beside the catering staff. Not near the back. Not at a distant family table. At the actual staff table behind a black curtain, beside two servers eating dinner between shifts. My mother looked at the place card and said, "It makes sense, you already know everyone working tonight." My sister smiled from the head table and added, "Please don't make this about you." I did not argue. I placed my purse beneath the chair, thanked the server beside me, and watched my family celebrate a wedding they believed I had simply helped organize. Then the event manager crossed the ballroom carrying a leather folder. He stopped beside my chair and said, loud enough for the nearest tables to hear, "Ms. Bennett, we cannot continue with the reception until the contracting client signs the final authorization." My father stood up immediately. "There must be some mistake. I'm the host." The manager opened the folder and placed the contract in front of me. "There is no mistake. Your daughter is the only person authorized to approve the remaining charges." That was when my family discovered the difference between treating someone like staff and realizing she was the only reason the wedding was happening at all. My name is Natalie Bennett. I was 32 years old when my younger sister, Lauren, got married at the Grand Ashford Hotel in Charlotte, North Carolina. For most of our lives, Lauren was the person my parents described as special. I was the person they described as capable. Those words sounded equally positive when I was young. They were not. Special meant Lauren's feelings required protection. Capable meant mine did not. When Lauren forgot her dance costume before a recital, my father drove 40 minutes home to get it. When I forgot my science project, my mother said responsibility was learned through consequences. When Lauren wanted a graduation trip to Europe, my parents found the money. When I needed help paying for professional certification courses, they told me independence would build character. I became independent. Then they resented me for no longer needing their approval. I worked in corporate event operations. That meant I was the person companies called when they wanted 500 guests, 3 ballrooms, 12 vendors, and no visible problems. I negotiated hotel contracts, managed event insurance, reviewed catering minimums, and knew exactly how much one careless sentence could cost once it appeared in writing. I was good at my job because I noticed details. My parents liked that skill when they needed something. They disliked it when I noticed details about them. Lauren was 29 when she became engaged to Ethan Cole. Ethan was kind, reserved, and much more financially cautious than my sister. He worked as a physical therapist and had been paying off student loans for years. Lauren worked in social media marketing. She loved beautiful things, especially when other people could see them. Her engagement ring appeared online before she called me. The caption said, "The easiest yes of my life." My mother called 10 minutes later. "We finally have a wedding to plan." I reminded her that I was not the bride. She laughed. "You know what I mean, Lauren will need you." Within 2 weeks she did. Lauren wanted the Grand Ashford Hotel, one of the most expensive wedding venues in the city. The ballroom had crystal chandeliers, a marble staircase, and a rooftop terrace overlooking downtown. It also had a Saturday minimum that made Ethan visibly uncomfortable when we toured it. The hotel required a $30,000 deposit and a guaranteed food and beverage spend of $85,000. That did not include flowers, photography, music, clothing, or the ceremony. My father said we could manage it. He could not. He owned a small insurance agency that looked more successful from the outside than it was. My parents had a large house, expensive cars, and very little liquidity. They had already borrowed against their home twice. I knew this because my mother had asked me for help reviewing their refinancing documents the year before. At the venue meeting, the sales director asked who would sign the agreement. My father reached for the pen. Then his card declined for the deposit. The room became quiet. He tried another card. That one failed too. Lauren stared at the table. My mother looked at me. Not at Ethan. Not at my father. At me. "Natalie," she said softly, "could you handle the deposit today? We'll reimburse you next month." I should have said no. Instead, I looked at my sister's face, and remembered every wedding she had planned in notebooks since she was a teenager. I told myself paying the deposit was not the same as paying for the wedding. I told myself there would be a written repayment plan. I told myself capable people could help without being used. The hotel needed one contracting client. Because my card funded the deposit and my professional insurance credentials qualified for a reduced security requirement, the contract went into my name. My father was listed as a secondary contact. Lauren and Ethan were listed as the couple. But legally, I was the client responsible for authorizing changes and paying any unpaid balance. I explained that clearly. My father signed a separate agreement promising to reimburse the deposit within 60 days. He thanked me and called me a lifesaver. 60 days passed. Then 90. Then 6 months. The repayment never came. Every time I asked, my father said business was slow. My mother said wedding expenses had become overwhelming. Lauren said discussing money was ruining the experience. Meanwhile, the wedding grew larger. The original guest list had 140 names. My mother added business associates. My father added clients. Lauren added people she had not spoken to since college. The final list reached 238. The floral budget doubled. The standard bar became premium. The hotel's basic linens were replaced with custom fabric. Lauren wanted a champagne wall, a late-night dessert room, and a flower installation hanging over the dance floor. Every addition required approval. At first, the hotel copied me on every request. Then my mother began telling vendors to contact her directly because I was only helping with paperwork. I corrected that twice. After the third time, I called the event manager, Marcus Reed. Marcus had worked at the Grand Ashford for 11 years. He was calm, exact, and never spoke before checking the contract. I told him no change was valid without written approval from me. He agreed. That should have ended it. Instead, my family became more secretive. My mother asked vendors to bill upgrades separately. My father told the hotel he would settle the balance privately before the wedding. Lauren stopped sending me planning updates. Then she began telling relatives I was jealous. I learned that from my aunt. She says you keep trying to control the wedding because you work in events, my aunt told me. I am trying to control the charges attached to my name. My aunt became quiet. How much have they repaid you? Nothing. She did not know what to say after that. Ethan knew about the original deposit, but he believed my parents had reimbursed me. Lauren had told him the same thing. I considered telling him the truth. Then my mother begged me not to create conflict between them before the wedding. She promised every dollar would be settled after my father received a business commission. I did not believe her. But I did not want Ethan learning about the debt from me weeks before he married my sister. So I made one final boundary. I emailed all 4 of them. I wrote that I would honor the original contract and the approved budget. Any additional charges had to be prepaid by the person requesting them. I would not authorize overages. My father called within 5 minutes. You embarrassed us by sending that to Ethan. I sent the financial position to everyone affected by it. You made us look irresponsible. The unpaid deposit did that. He said I was keeping score. I told him contracts kept score whether families did or not. After that conversation, I was removed from nearly every wedding decision. I was still expected to solve emergencies. When the florist needed loading access, they called me. When the photographer's insurance certificate was incomplete, they called me. When the seating chart exceeded the ballroom capacity, they called me. But when the family chose dresses, menus, speeches, and table assignments, I was excluded. 3 days before the wedding, Lauren sent me the final seating chart. I searched for my name. It was not at the family table. It was not with our cousins. It was not at a guest table. My name appeared at table S3. I knew hotel floor plans. The letter S did not mean standard. It meant staff. I called Lauren. Why am I seated at a staff table? She gave a small laugh. It's not really a staff table. It is labeled S3. There were last-minute changes. You have 238 guests and no chair for your sister? You know the hotel team, you'll be comfortable there. I asked who had taken my original seat. One of my father's clients. The client had purchased a large insurance policy that month. My chair had become a business favor. I told Lauren it was insulting. She said, "This is exactly what I was afraid of. You always find a way to make things about respect and fairness. What should they be about? My wedding." Then my mother joined the call. She said the staff table was located inside the ballroom. She said I would still see everything. She said I should be mature enough not to create a scene. The word mature had replaced capable. The meaning stayed the same, except less quietly. I almost canceled my attendance. Daniel, my partner, told me no one would blame me. But I had already protected every vendor from unpaid requests. I had confirmed the original hotel package. I knew Marcus would need my signature for final reconciliation. And despite everything, I still loved my sister. So I attended. The wedding ceremony was beautiful. Lauren looked genuinely happy. Ethan cried when he saw her walking down the aisle. For 40 minutes, I forgot the contracts. I forgot the debt. I watched my younger sister marry someone she loved. Then we entered the ballroom. My parents stood near the head table greeting guests. My mother saw me looking at the seating display. She walked over and touched my arm. "Please be gracious." "I have not said anything. Your expression says enough." Lauren approached in her wedding dress. She glanced at my place card and said, "You already know everyone working tonight." Then she smiled as though she had turned an insult into a compliment. I walked to table S3. It was behind a decorative curtain near the service entrance. 2 banquet captains sat there. 3 servers rotated in during breaks. There was no formal place setting. Someone found a chair and brought me a plate. The staff members looked more embarrassed than my family. One server named Jasmine whispered, "This can't be right." "It is right," I said. "It just isn't respectful." I watched the reception begin through a gap in the curtain. My father gave a speech about supporting daughters through every stage of life. My mother cried. Guests applauded. Then Marcus entered the ballroom carrying the contract folder. I knew why before he reached me. The hotel had completed its final audit. The family had ordered thousands of dollars in upgrades that were never prepaid. The premium bar extension, extra floral rigging, rooftop heaters, additional security, and late-night food station had been added through emails from my mother and father. Some vendors had already delivered services. Others were waiting for authorization. The unpaid overage was $46,800. Marcus stopped beside me. "Ms. Bennett, we need your direction." My father noticed him and crossed the ballroom. "What is the problem?" Marcus opened the folder. "The approved event package has been paid through the original contracted amount. The additional requests remain unauthorized and unpaid." My father lowered his voice. "I told your office I would handle that after the event. The hotel does not extend unsecured credit after services begin." My mother joined us. Lauren watched from the head table. Marcus continued. "Because Ms. Bennett is the contracting client, she must either authorize the additional charges and provide payment, or we must return the reception to the original package immediately." My father said, "I am hosting this wedding." Marcus looked at the agreement. "You are listed as a secondary contact. Your daughter is the client." Several nearby guests had begun listening. My father's face changed. He turned to me. "Sign it, we will settle everything next week." "You said that about the deposit 14 months ago." My mother whispered, "Not here. You selected the location for this conversation when you left the bill attached to my name." Lauren walked toward us. "What's happening?" Ethan came with her. Marcus explained the overages. Ethan looked confused. "I thought all of this was paid." "So did I said. Lauren looked at my parents. My father said it was a temporary timing problem. My mother said the hotel was being inflexible. Marcus did not react. He simply waited for my decision. I read the authorization. The $46,000 included things I had never approved. A second champagne service. imported flower installations, an extra hour of open bar, a private after-party suite, a fireworks display that had not yet begun setup. The original contract already included dinner, music, standard bar service, cake, and a full reception until 11. No guest would go hungry. The wedding would not be ruined. The family would simply lose the excess they had ordered using my name. I closed the folder. I am not authorizing the overages. My mother grabbed my wrist. You cannot do this to your sister. I gently removed her hand. I am not canceling her wedding. I am refusing to buy upgrades you hid from me. Lauren's eyes filled with tears. What gets canceled? Marcus answered clearly. The fireworks, the rooftop after-party, the imported floral rigging, the extended premium bar, the late-night food station. Everything else would continue as contracted. Lauren turned to my father. You told me those were paid. He did not answer. Then Ethan asked the question no one wanted him to ask. How much does Natalie already have in this wedding? I told him the amount of the deposit. I told him it had never been repaid. I told him the hotel contract was in my name because my father's payment failed. I did not add emotion. The facts carried enough. Ethan looked at Lauren. Did you know? She looked away. That was her answer. For several seconds, no one spoke. Then my father said I was humiliating the family over money. I looked toward the staff table behind the curtain. No, you humiliated me over status. The money simply made you stop pretending I did not matter. Marcus asked for my final instruction. I authorized the original reception package. I signed only the section confirming that no additional charges could be added without immediate payment from someone else. My father could still purchase any upgrade he wanted. He needed to pay for it himself. He did not. The reception continued. The flowers already installed remained. Dinner was served. The band played. Guests danced. There were no fireworks. No rooftop after-party. No midnight sliders. The wedding remained beautiful. That was important. My boundary did not destroy the event. It only prevented my family from converting their luxury choices into my debt. Ethan approached me later. He apologized. He said he had trusted Lauren and my parents when they told him everything was settled. I believed him. He offered to repay part of the deposit over time. I told him the agreement was with my parents, not him. Then he said, you should not be sitting back there. He asked Marcus to add a place beside his aunt at one of the guest tables. Marcus found a chair. I joined the table before dessert. My parents did not look at me for the rest of the night. Lauren did. Sometimes angry. Sometimes ashamed. After the wedding, the consequences arrived quietly. My father's promised commission did not materialize. The hotel issued a final statement showing that the original contract was complete and the rejected upgrades were removed. The florist charged my mother separately for part of the installation already produced. The fireworks company kept its non-refundable planning fee. The rooftop suite was released. No one went bankrupt. No one was arrested. The family simply had to pay for the choices they had actually made. 2 weeks later, my father transferred the first portion of the deposit back to me. It took him 9 months to repay the full amount. I required automatic payments. He called that cold. I called it the first promise he had kept because breaking it had consequences. My relationship with my parents changed permanently. My mother said I had chosen the worst possible moment to reveal the truth. I reminded her that I had sent the financial position in writing weeks earlier. The truth was not new. Only the audience was. Lauren refused to speak to me for almost 4 months. When she finally called, she asked to meet at a coffee shop. She looked tired. Marriage had not removed the financial tension. Ethan had discovered several other wedding bills he had not known about. They were working through them together. Lauren said she was angry that I would not sign the authorization. Then she admitted she was more angry that the event manager had treated me as the decision maker. Everyone looked at you, she said. They looked at the person named on the contract. I felt like it was your event. I spent 14 months being responsible for it while you treated me like hired help. She stared at her coffee. Then she said, I thought because you could afford the deposit, it did not matter as much to you. That is how this family has always justified taking from me. She began to cry. This time, I did not rush to make her comfortable. I let the silence remain. Eventually, she apologized for the staff table. Not for the confusion. Not for the pressure. For the decision. She admitted she had moved my seat because my father wanted an important client near the head table. She knew it was disrespectful. She believed I would tolerate it. That honesty hurt, but it gave us somewhere real to begin. I told her forgiveness was possible. Automatic access to my help was not. She nodded. Our relationship improved slowly. We were never as close as people expected sisters to be. But we became more honest. She stopped calling only when she needed something. I stopped solving problems before she experienced them. Ethan and I remained friendly. He paid for dinner the next time we met and joked that it was the first wedding-related bill anyone had allowed him to see before payment. A year later, the Grand Ashford invited my company to manage a corporate conference. Marcus was still the event manager. When I arrived, he showed me the newly renovated ballroom. The curtain that had hidden the staff table was gone. The service area had been moved behind a permanent wall. I asked what happened to table S3. He smiled. We decided staff deserved a real break room. I liked that answer. For years, my family had mistaken my usefulness for my place. They believed the person solving problems should remain behind the curtain, while everyone else took credit in the ballroom. The contract changed that for one evening. Not because paperwork made me more valuable. Because it exposed the value they had been using while pretending it did not belong to me. I did not need to ruin my sister's wedding. I did not need to give a speech. I did not need the guests to applaud. I simply refused to sign my name beneath someone else's entitlement. So tell me honestly, what would you have done if your family seated you with the staff after making you financially responsible for the wedding? Would you have signed the extra charges to protect the event? Would you have walked away? Or would you have honored the original promise while refusing to pay for everything they added behind your back? Whatever your answer is, remember this. Being capable does not make your money communal. Being dependable does not make your dignity optional. And when people treat you like staff at a celebration you made possible, they should not be surprised when the manager hands the final contract to you.